In the late 60s, what I remember is it wasn't just that the protests got larger, which of course they did, and it wasn't simply that the protests covered lots of different things, civil rights, Vietnam, poverty, a host of kinds of issues. What I remember most was the anger. If I look back at my own kind of introduction to liberal causes and to commitments to social justice in the late 50s and the early 60s, and I contrast it with what was happening in the late 60s and with my own emotions, what I most remember was the outrage, the anger, the frustration that it seemed like we could do so little. And that the problems were so overwhelming and that everybody seemed against us. The late 60s, I just remember the anger, just outrage at parents, outrage at adults. It was not a reasoned debate. It wasn't, and it was about how to improve the society. It wasn't even just impassioned. It was angry. And I remember being as upset by the hostility and the hatred that some of my friends and younger peers who were engaged in protests felt. It wasn't just that they were committed to a better world, but they were so angry. And I was scared of it. And I remember by the end of the 60s and by the early 70s, feeling that while I believed in their causes, I was afraid of their anger. And I remember beginning to think that if we won, whatever the battle was, if we had if we ousted the current generation of leaders, would we replace them with better people? And I began to have my doubts. And my doubts came not because I was worried about justice, but because I was worried about anger and hostility.